Hello, my dear viewers. Welcome to my channel. In the previous live, I discussed about development administration. Now, today, I'm going to discuss about development management and its approaches. আমরা সকলেই জানি যে একটা অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন প্রপারলি চালাতে গেলে আমাদের আগে জানা উচিত যে ম্যানেজমেন্ট প্রসেসটা, প্রপার ম্যানেজমেন্ট সিস্টেম, হাউ টু ম্যানেজ the administrative activities. So now, for that reason, I'm going to discuss about management and its approaches. So, development management is also a very widely used term in the recent development literature. It has been a very close relation with development administration. There exist very keen differences between development administration and development management. With a view to highlighting the differences, development management should be defined separately. Development management emphasizes on more rationality and more systematic procedure. It is cost conscious, result oriented, and culturally sensitive. It encourages more participation of the concerned people. It emphasizes on less bureaucratic and less technocratic process. On the other hand, it is short-sighted and sometimes less in evidence. While development administration is concerned mainly with the development role of the government or administrative setup, then development management is concerned mainly with the development programs and projects, although the main goal of both them to attain the socio-economic development. More systemic than development administration and culturally more sensitive, it also encourages more participation and empowerment of the concerned people. As development administration is concerned with government, it is more bureaucratic than development management. Now we are going to discuss about the approaches of development management. There exist three different approaches of development management. First of all, but among them, two approaches are quite opposite to each other. They are the blueprint approach and the learning process approach. I repeat again, blueprint approach and learning process approach. The most recent and third approach is structured flexibility approach, which tends to combine the element of both the above approaches. The basic elements of the said three approaches are summarized below, highlighting the difference among them. First of all, the blueprint approach. The blueprint approach suggests management by a preconceived ordered plan. This approach is borrowed from the world of engineering, which defines a problem, sees objective, chooses solutions, puts together resources, and implements the plan, and lastly, evaluates the results. In other words, this approach consists of a set of prescribed steps beginning with problem specification and concluding with post-project evaluation. The major focus of this approach is on and follows a top-down strategy. Now, moving on to the next part is learning process approach. This approach is also known as people-centered management approach, which has been developed in response to the demonstrated weakness of the blueprint approach. This approach has its origin in the organized and industrial West, and it attempts to involve people more closely in the operations and goals of the workplace. In its industrial origin, not only presupposed that the workplace should be well organized, but what is also needed in share printing needed is sharpening of the interpersonal skills that make people work better and even feel better. The key features of the approach are flexibility and incremental adaptation, continuous information gathering at the micro level, experimentation and iterative learning. So this approach starts from the assumption that in the pre-implementation stage, it is not possible to know enough about what will be successful and to specify all details in advance. Each design represents an experimental solution to be tested and is redesigned based on accumulated learning in the face of uncertainty and complexity. Projects and programs consists of a set of resources and strategies for mobilizing people to identify problems, develop tentative solutions, test and refine them, and thus apply the participatory learning approach. Now, moving on to the last approach, which is called the structured flexibility approach. I repeat again, structured flexibility approach. So, the structured flexibility approach is, in fact, a blend on the above two approaches, the rigid and uncertain nature of development. On the other hand, the flexible and experimental process approach is unable to satisfy the international donors as well as the governments of developing countries, as it fails to specify objectives, targets, timetables, and resource needs. As accountability requires the advanced determination of results to be produced and controls during implementation, the process approach offers few incentives to apply it, despite the positive result emerging from situations where it has been tried. In addition, the empowerment aspects of the approach tend to raise fears among developing country decision makers regarding the balance of political power. Several attempts were made to develop a third course action taking the positive aspects of two other approaches and and the emergence of structured flexibility approach was outcome of those attempts. This approach combines the positive elements of both blueprint and learning process approach in order to meet the demands of developmental reality. The resulting blend in an approach that avoids dysfunctional rigidities of blueprint approach and systemizes the fluidities of the process approach's capacity building aims. This blend also provides the basis for the programmatic and financial accountability that is needed to attract resources from international donors and to ensure developing country bureaucracies. At the same time, this approach facilitates an adaptive management. This approach facilitates an adaptive management stance that can take into account uncertain and changing task environment. This approach, this approach derives from what Miller calls a design science perspective in which social science serves to improve the management performance. Structured flexibility approach incorporates the blueprint model's orientation toward analysis, planning, and specificity, but it rejects use of blueprint analytical tools as means that supports the details pre-implementation planning. Rather, these tools are used to clarify the uncertainty present in the project setting and to develop initial responses that are modified over the time of the project through iterative applications of the tools. This approach draws upon the basic precepts of the process approach both in terms of implementation and aim. It adopts a conscious orientation towards the participation of key actors and gives attention to their values. Structured flexibility fuses the long-term goals with short-term service or product delivery targets. This orientation helps to resolve the problem with donor accountability requirements by mixing intermediate targets that can be measured, thus satisfying the deliverables mentality of the funding organizations. The following table shows a comparison among the blueprint approach, the learning process approach, and the structure flexibility approach. So that's all about today's discussion. I hope that you will understand my my discussion. সো আজকে আর কথা বাড়াচ্ছি না। সকলেই ভালো থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন। এই বলে আজকের মতো লাইভ স্ট্রিমিং এখানেই শেষ করছি। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।